The most hair-raising, egregious, nauseating example of this occurred just last week when Sarah Palin ridiculed the idea that the federal government would sponsor research on fruit flies. And then she followed by saying, "I kid you not," as if this was the most absurd thing, ignoring the fact that almost everything we know about genetics originally came from research on fruit flies, such as the existence and behavior of chromosomes, which is one of the things that allows us to determine the cause of Down syndrome, something that she claims to be interested in devoting more resources toward. So genetics is something you study with fruit flies. Fruit flies are also a major economic pest. Huge citrus industry in California and Florida can be threatened by quirks of the behavior of the fruit fly. So in picking what she thought sounded like an example of government waste, she was identifying possibly the most one of the most important bodies of research in the entire scientific enterprise. And John McCain did the same thing. In 2 debates, he ridiculed research on the DNA of bears, of grizzly bears, not realizing that nowadays, if you're a biologist, you study DNA. Even if you're a field biologist looking at conservation of endangered species, and grizzly bears are a threatened species, there's a federal mandate to keep track of their numbers. How do you know whether you've seen 2 grizzly bears or whether you've seen 1 grizzly bear twice? Well, you snag bits of their hair and you do DNA analysis, and that's how we know how many grizzly bears are out there. In making the cheap shot of, well, I don't know if it's for a paternity test or a crime scene, both he and Palin, I think, showed a certain contempt for science that I and many other scientists find deeply disturbing. If you describe any scientific research out of context, you can make it sound silly. I think it's utterly irresponsible for a politician to do that, given how much of the fate of our country and our species is going to depend on basic and applied scientific research.